Alarming reports of a surge in sudden deaths amid CCP virus resurgence in China raise concerns. Alarming surge in CCP official deaths amid pandemic crisis. Foreigners exit China amid COVID-19 controls and changing attitudes, raising concerns for China's appeal. CCP's shocking military purge reveals empty missile silos and mysterious deaths. China defies U.S. ban on Nvidia chips, fuels underground market, amid calls for chip export control upgrades. Alarming reports of a surge in sudden deaths amid CCP virus resurgence in China raise concerns. The Chinese Communist authorities finally acknowledged the epidemic on the 14th and stated that there was a resurgence of the epidemic in January. However, many people revealed that the epidemic was very serious, and many people around them died suddenly after being infected. On January 14th, the Chinese Communist Party's Health Commission held a press conference claiming that the CCP virus epidemic may rebound in China this month and that the Xi'an mutant strain will most likely develop into a dominant epidemic strain in China. However, the outside world generally doubts that the CCP is still concealing the severity of the epidemic. Dong Yuhong, a European virology and infectious disease expert, the Xi'an variant not only increases its transmissibility, but also causes immune escape. In layman's terms, it means that previously vaccinated vaccines no longer work. On January 12th, an insider broke the news that Xi'an, a 45-year-old anesthesiologist, passed away suddenly on January 11th. Xi'an's colleague, a doctoral supervisor at Capital Medical University, C.G. Tuka, had previously revealed on social media he was infected with the new coronavirus mutant strain, which caused myocardial infarction and died suddenly. Ms. Li, a villager in Baoding. There are people around me. I know there are 3 of them. Yesterday, my mother said that her friend was also in his 40s. He was sleeping because he had a cold recently. Mr. Chai, a Beijing citizen. The hospital is overcrowded, and you have to queue for a long time. These are all sudden deaths from myocardial infarction and cerebral infarction, as well as sudden death from heart diseases. Many people and experts believe that the outbreak in China in recent months is the CCP virus infection. Ms. Liu, an employee of a state-owned enterprise in Baotu. Since September, 3 people I know have died, and there is a girl who is very good to me. She is 1 year younger than me. She suddenly suffered a cerebral hemorrhage. There is also a girl who suffered from cerebral hemorrhage. People with heart disease usually look fine and are fine. Dong Yuhong, an expert in virology and infectious diseases, also pointed out that this wave of epidemics can be judged to be dominated by the new coronavirus, Chinese Communist Party virus. Sudden death caused by the new coronavirus is triggered by several pathological causes. Dong Yuhong. One is an acute cardiomyopathy caused by viral infection, and the other is acute coronary syndrome, which leads to the formation of large-scale microthrombi in blood vessels, including pulmonary embolism or a thrombus in the arterioles of the heart. There are also thrombus in the arterioles of the brain. There are also some electrolyte imbalances and other conditions that can lead to sudden death. Alarming surge in CCP official deaths amid pandemic crisis. The National Health Commission of the Communist Party of China held a press conference on January 14th, warning that the country may experience a resurgence of the new coronavirus infection epidemic due to factors such as the development of the Xi'an mutant strain and declining population immunity. This resurgence could lead to a peak in the epidemic once again. Amidst this backdrop, there has been a notable increase in the deaths of Chinese Communist Party CCP officials, with at least 14 officials passing away due to illness from January 1st to January 14th of the current year. Among these officials were prominent figures like Zhang Kehui, former vice chairman of the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, Colonel Hao Jiping, an advisor to the political department of the General Staff, Xue Zhu, former secretary of the Zhejiang Provincial Party Committee, Zhou Daozhong, former chairman of the China Securities Regulatory Commission, and Sun Zaifu, former deputy secretary of the Hunan Provincial Party Committee. Zhang Kehui, born in Taiwan, joined the CCP while studying in mainland China and held various influential positions within the party. Hao Jiping, the third wife of Luo Riqing, a prominent CCP figure, endured harsh treatment during the Cultural Revolution. Xue Zhu and Zhou Daozhong held significant roles within the Chinese government, while Sun Zaifu was a high-ranking member of the Discipline Inspection Commission. Additionally, 9 other local CCP officials died of illness in the first 10 days of the new year. These deaths, combined with the ongoing epidemic, raise concerns about the health of party members and the broader population. The Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention reported 88 new severe cases and 11 deaths related to the epidemic from December 1 to December 31, 2023. Medical experts have warned that the number of infections may increase further with the spread of the Xi'an.1 strain, and reduced immunity among the population could lead to more severe cases and deaths. In a normal country, the government would prioritize medical prevention and treatment in the face of a significant health crisis. However, in the context of the CCP, concerns have arisen over the increased use of mobile cremation vehicles that are seen operating throughout China. These vehicles are advertised as being smoke-free, exhaust-free, odorless, and legally qualified for harmless treatment. Some speculate that these vehicles, originally designed for pet cremations, could potentially be used for human remains, raising unsettling questions about their purpose. Critics argue that the CCP has a long history of disregarding human life and embracing destruction and violence. From the Cultural Revolution to the suppression of religious and cultural practices, the CCP has often been accused of acting against the values of compassion and morality. Now, as the CCP faces challenges, some see it as facing divine retribution for its actions. It is worth noting that some individuals have advocated quitting the CCP as a way to ensure personal safety. This call to withdraw from the party is based on the belief that the epidemic primarily targets CCP members and those who support the party. The recommendation is to visit the CCP withdrawal website and follow the provided instructions to disassociate from the party, even using a pseudonym if necessary. The urgency of this decision is underscored by the rapid spread of the epidemic, with many individuals seemingly healthy one day and infected the next. According to mainland media reports, sudden deaths in China are alarmingly high, with one Chinese person dying suddenly every minute, often attributed to heart disease. Foreigners exit China amid COVID-19 controls and changing attitudes, raising concerns for China's appeal. As reported by the South China Morning Post on January 15th, an increasing number of foreigners who endured 3 years of strict COVID-19 controls in China are leaving the country. This departure comes despite the Chinese authorities' efforts to reopen and revive the economy. The reasons behind their decision to leave vary, but some common factors include growing wariness, even hostility towards foreigners, and concerns about a potential repeat of lockdown experiences. Tensions between China and the West have been on the rise, and some foreigners in China fear that these tensions could affect their day-to-day interactions and raise concerns about national security. One such individual is Sophie Redding, a British PE teacher working at an international school in Wuhan, the city where the coronavirus was first detected. Several factors contributed to her decision to return to the UK last month. Her partner faced visa issues in Wuhan, and Redding began to feel that the city, which she had once considered home, had become less welcoming. She described instances of strangers asking her to leave, and even experiencing discrimination from service providers. China's strict anti-epidemic policies, including severe restrictions on domestic and international travel and extended lockdowns in cities like Shanghai, have frustrated many foreigners. Before the outbreak in 2020, the number of foreigners living in Shanghai had already decreased by more than 20% over the preceding decade, and Beijing saw a 40% decrease to 63,000 foreign residents. While these figures date back to November 2020, it is expected that the trend of foreign residents leaving China has continued over the past 2 years due to ongoing strict epidemic controls. Redding's sentiments are shared by other foreigners who have observed a change in Chinese people's attitudes and experienced difficulty in making new friends. Some have noted a subtle hesitation among locals, which they attribute to heightened geopolitical tensions. The COVID-19 era has left lasting scars, with some individuals fearing that authorities might reimpose strict controls on movement and activities. One Russian-born American art teacher who had spent 13 years in Shanghai cited this fear as her primary reason for returning to the United States. She expressed her appreciation for Chinese culture, but voiced concerns about the uncertainty of future lockdowns and the possibility of being separated from family for an extended period. James Zimmerman, a partner at international law firm Perkins Coie and former president of the American Chamber of Commerce in China, highlighted that individuals and businesses alike are leaving China due to a combination of factors, including economic weakness, compliance risks, and geopolitical tensions. While China remains an attractive consumer market, foreign companies are reconsidering their presence in the country and exploring alternatives amid the evolving geopolitical landscape. The COVID-19 pandemic has prompted some companies to diversify their supply chains by seeking alternatives outside of China, further contributing to the challenges China faces in retaining foreign talent and investments. CCP's shocking military purge reveals empty missile silos and mysterious deaths. The Chinese Communist Party, CCP, has been on a relentless purge of its military leadership, which began last year and continues to this day. This extensive campaign has resulted in the removal of 12 senior generals from their positions as representatives of the National People's Congress and members of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference at the end of the previous year. Recent reports have revealed the arrests of Liu Shiquan, chairman and party secretary of China Ordnance Industry Group Co., Lotadier, and Chen Guoying, general manager of China Ordnance Equipment Group. These developments have left both the group headquarters and provincial military-industrial groups across China in a state of turmoil, with a sense of uncertainty hanging over everything and everyone. As of now, the CCP has not officially confirmed these arrests. Media commentator Li Muyang suggests that while the outside world cannot independently verify this revelation, it is not surprising, given that Xi Jinping seems to believe that no one within the CCP can be entirely trusted. This sentiment has been exacerbated by the ongoing CCP Rocket Army Den case, implicating several high-level officials in the military and ordnance industry. Notably, many of these individuals are also involved in ordnance production for the rocket force, and the likelihood of their involvement in these arrests appears to be substantial. In early reports, Bloomberg cited U.S. intelligence and online sources, outlining two primary reasons for the CCP's purging of rocket force and military industry executives. The first reason is the alleged use of water instead of fuel in missile production, while the second concerns the inability of missile silo covers to launch missiles. However, an even more startling revelation has emerged from recent sources that the CCP's missile silos are empty cities, with 95% of them containing no missiles. If this information is accurate, it would represent a far more serious situation than the intelligence obtained by the United States. Such a revelation could cast doubt on the CCP's military capabilities, particularly in relation to Taiwan. Xi Jinping has repeatedly stated his unwillingness to renounce the use of force to unify Taiwan with mainland China. The recent election of Taiwan's new president, framed by the CCP as a choice between war and peace, has not deterred the CCP's rhetoric or actions. Despite verbal opposition to Taiwan independence and insistence on the One China, One Taiwan narrative, the CCP's efforts have been largely limited to military exercises and the presence of aircraft and warships near Taiwan's borders. These actions have done little to further their cause and have even been met with ridicule. Chen Guoying had not been publicly seen or heard from for over 5 months, with his last public appearance recorded in July. His disappearance mirrors that of Li Sangbok, the former defense minister who has been missing for an extended period without any official explanation. In mid-September, media reports indicated that Chen Guoying had been taken away at the same time as Tan Rusong, the former chairman of Aviation Industry Corporation of China. Additionally, Liu Shiquan's removal as a member of the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference in December confirmed that something significant had occurred. Nevertheless, news regarding Yuanji and Chen Guoying's fate remains undisclosed, potentially to mitigate the perceived impact on the CCP's image. China defies U.S. ban on Nvidia chips, fuels underground market, amid calls for chip export control upgrades. Despite the U.S. ban on exporting chips to China, a recent Reuters report has revealed that various Chinese military agencies, state-owned AI research institutions, and universities have been purchasing Nvidia chips, including the A100 and H100 models, which were banned from export to China and Hong Kong by the United States in 2022. These purchases also included slower A800 and H800 chips developed by Nvidia specifically for the Chinese market, but which were also banned later. Nvidia's graphics processing units, GPUs, are renowned for their superiority in handling the substantial data requirements of artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning tasks. China's ongoing demand for these banned Nvidia chips underscores the lack of comparable alternatives among Chinese companies, even though Chinese tech giant Huawei is working on developing its own chips. Before the export ban, Nvidia held a dominating 90% share of China's AI chip market. Interestingly, some of the buyers identified in the Reuters report were entities subject to U.S. export restrictions, such as the Harbin Institute of Technology and the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. These institutions have been accused by the U.S. of involvement in Chinese military activities. The report also highlights that tenders for these chips in China often lack transparency, making it difficult to ascertain who wins the bids and for what purposes the chips are being used. While most of the purchases were in small quantities, they can still contribute to enhancing existing AI models and conducting various machine learning tasks. Furthermore, an underground market for these chips has emerged in China since the imposition of U.S. restrictions. In places like the Huaqiangbei Electronics District in Shenzhen, customers can purchase high-end U.S.-made chips, including Nvidia's, albeit at a premium price. These chips are often sold for significantly higher prices than their retail value. It is challenging to estimate the extent of chip flow into China through this underground market. In response to these developments, the U.S. Department of Commerce has launched an investigation aimed at strengthening the semiconductor supply chain, ensuring fair competition for chip production, and addressing national security concerns related to China's chip supply chain. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina M. Raimondo emphasized the need for industry involvement in these efforts and mentioned that the government alone cannot secure a robust supply chain. The investigation comes in the wake of a U.S. Congressional Committee report that recommended resetting the economic relationship between the United States and China, including raising tariffs on certain products. The report expressed concerns about China's efforts to boost semiconductor production by its companies while impeding U.S. competitors.